Alright, this is going to be our third game here, so it's going to be the best of 3 here. See if we opening up with a similar line of play. So we have Transform, lets us turn something into a wolf token, puts it on the bottom, lets us bounce. So let's recycle, gets rid of champion, and let's just take a champion and put it into play. We don't really need that one as much right now, which ends up getting us a decent threat, especially with it being able to draw a card. We're not really sitting on anything with ambush, and if he ends up playing something that's a 0, this is useful up front, but more than likely we're going to use that to draw the 2 cards for how we're starting out. The ability to deal 5 damage to each attacking creature plus recycle is going to let us get a little bit of a nice start. We can end up looking at what else we have here, which is our bounce, which we ended up using to very good success last game. Transforming is going to allow us to deal with those flyers that are currently a threat. And if we end up having to do the transform, the ability to get rid of that 0 token and put a demon token into play is nice too. As a little 1-2 combo card. Then we're going to load out and load back in. Since as we were trying to pull up cards, it was ending up going pretty bad. So let's see what Travis plays out first. So he ends up playing it out in the ability to draw a card, similar to what we're going to end up playing. In this case, what we're going to do though is we need the 2 cards, so that way we're set up in a more advantageous position. So we're going to end up with a grip of 7 versus his 5 plus 1 on the board. We'll have the 10-10 that will give us that 7 back again. That was our first line of play. If he does end up getting rid of our Triceratops, we do have the ability to transform. We did have the ability to break, and each player puts a zombie card in for their play that we ended up using last game. We have Angel of the Gate, which will let us ambush on his turn and start gaining health. Start recapping this in our position. And then return target attacking creature. It's good. It's not as good as the return that we were using last game. So we'll do that and draw. Now do remember that your maximum hand size is 7. If you go to 8, you will have to discard. But since he played this effectively as a worse version of what we just played, ends up being nice for us. But more than likely what we're going to end up doing is flashing this down at the end of his turn. So he did it to draw a card because he really needed to, or he's going to end up having an extra 3 damage. Yeah, so he just ended up having to burn his gold to come up with us and compete. Not a big deal. We're still sitting with that grip of 7. We have the ability to bounce it. Or in this case, what we can also do is just transform it. Turn it into a wolf token. Not a big deal. It's not something we need to worry about, but it also gets it off the board. So if we do use this, we end up having 1 where he has 0 for whenever we need to break the board and put zombies into play. So in this case, we can just sit there and return it right back to his hand as if it didn't matter to us. So we have the ability to draw 2, we can force him to break champions. We still have the ability to airborne and ambush. What we can do here is bounce the token, so he ends up netting nothing. This is going to force him to play the 14/14 that he has in his hand with Blitz. Or he's going to have to play a response, but with this being untargetable, it'll be more difficult for him. That Angel is actually going to trade very easily with ours, and he has nothing in his discard pile that makes it worth playing. So it's just the 4/5 at this point with Airborne. So with this, we're going to end up trading for the Angel at best, but it's also, or we're going to trade with the Angel. He's going to have to burn a card if he's going to kill this. If he doesn't, we're going to start netting life back. So he ends up dealing damage, ends up hurting his own guy to try and trade with the Angel. Which what we can do here is save the Angel because we'll net whatever is going out, thus keeping the life in ours and allowing us to draw a card with that. So we know he has the 14/14 in his hand. We're going to end up netting 5 life here. So we're going to end up doing is swinging in for 7. The Airborne is going to create a big threat for him. And really everything we're looking at is either drawing, and we could have buffed and put a human token into play. We really didn't need to at this point. This is going to be really useful for when we're dealing with his back end. So we have destruction, we have the ability to put extra damage in, which is a great ending. This is going to be probably our worst, so let's end up playing it to draw 2 cards. And we're going to force the block here. So what he's going to do is block, and that's going to end up forcing the 14/14 to come down to recall this guy, which is a fine play to us. We have the ability to throw down a human token to block his 14/14 with Blitz, the ability to bring this back. So at no point is it a big deal to us. But it's encouraging his play of the 14/14. So he throws down a demon token, gets rid of whatever has in there, sitting down to 2 creatures. So he's playing that in response, so that's not terrible. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to respond and get rid of our event spells. That way we're able to net another card. This also gives us a blocker. So if he plays the 14/14, that's not a big deal to us. The 4/4 here we can easily trade with. But still at this point we're sitting on a nice amount of cards. So in response to that, we can now go and sit and block. We'll throw down the 3/7, it costs us nothing, and we could sit here and make this trade all day long as if it doesn't even matter to us. Now what we can also do here is kill the token, put in our guy, because we were going to play that either way to have a token into play to block this 11/11, especially if he plays the Blitz. And we're still sitting here, and we're in a position that if we bring out this to break all the champions and put out zombies, we're sitting at 4 zombies on the board, 5 right here, versus the 1 in here, 2. So we're talking 5 versus 2. So it's still an advantageous position for us, and creates a threat where he's going to need to respond. The other upside to this as well is that we're able to break a target champion, which would be our Angel. So we'll go to declare blockers here. We're going to throw our token in front of it because we don't care about our token. What we care about is having cards net the board. We'd be able to use our Angel after we've attacked to break his 11-11 here, and if he has the 14-14 still in play. So he's going to banish our 0. Which isn't as good for us. But we can throw that down and still threaten the tokens. Which also puts our Angel in a position. So we're sitting with basically a board full of board wipe. But the biggest part is going to end up being that we can pretty much end the game this turn. So we'll attack here. Pass to attack events. We'll see what he ends up trying to do to respond to this. So we'll end up throwing all of our stuff as unblockable this turn. And the reason why we're going with tokens is we're seeing what he's going to end up trying to respond with. Because these are the weakest targets. So we can throw the 13 up in, and it's also unblockable. And that ends up winning the game for us. So thank you guys very much. Like, share, subscribe if you enjoyed it. And thank you for watching. That's 2 out of 3 in favor of me.